In the British parliamentary elections of October the 15th, 1964, the suspense was whether the Britons would still give a new chance to yet a new Conservative Prime Minister, Sir Alec Douglas Hume, who had been in office only for 1 year, or whether it would give the Labour Party, after 13 years in the political wilderness of the official opposition under its new leader Harold Wilson, who had replaced Hugh Gaitskell, who had suddenly died in January 1963, with the Labour leadership election being held in February of that year. When Sir Alec Douglas Hume had become Prime Minister in October 1963, the Conservatives had been 12% behind Labour in the Gallup poll. However, they had, throughout those 12 months leading up to the election, narrowed the Labour Party's lead. And while Sir Alec Douglas Hume certainly was no intellectual and no charismatic politician, he was a genuinely nice man, which explained why the Conservatives almost tied the Labourites in the share of the opinion polls and even in the seats, strangely enough. Harold Wilson was witty, but his wit often then at least approached the level of rather base insults. He, for example, made fun of the Conservative government during the so-called Profumo affair. Defense Secretary John Profumo had to resign because he was discovered to have had an extramarital affair with a so-called call girl, a young female prostitute, Christine Keeler, in 1963. So it was a close election, and well, there was even this rather silly insult, and certainly a disrespectful insult that Harold Wilson had made to Alec Douglas Hume, that supposedly the long democratic progress of Britain had ground to a halt with the 14th Earl. Well, Alec Douglas Hume happened to be the 14th Earl of Hume. However, he had renounced his peerage or membership in the House of Lords in order to become Prime Minister and enter the House of Commons, and he certainly did not favour a return to the rigid old class structure of Britain. He, with characteristic politeness, replied, "Well, perhaps when one comes to think of it, Mr. Wilson is the 14th Mr. Wilson." So he did not reply to Harold Wilson's insults in kind. So as far as personality is concerned, he definitely would have deserved a long prime ministership, but the voters decided otherwise. The voter turnout was down somewhat to 77.1%. The Labour Party, with 44.1% of the vote, or some 12,206,000 votes, received 317 seats, a tiny 4-seat majority. Sir Alec Douglas Hume's Conservatives received 43.4% of the vote, or 12,003,000 votes, and 304 seats, while Joe Griman's Liberals almost doubled their share of the vote to 11.2%, and according to Ian Gilmore, a fellow Conservative, it was largely because of Sir Alec Douglas Hume that the Liberals gained those votes at the expense of the Conservatives. And the Liberals raised their number of seats to 9.